Here's a story for you. I'm a Sonic fan. To be honest, I like the classic games the most, even the ones most people don't talk about, like Sonic 3D Blast or Sonic Triple Trouble. If I find a Sonic game, I'll take it and play it, or at least that was the case before. Anyways, something happened that was really scary. I don't play scary games, but I've played much worse. After the experience I had, I don't think I will ever play any Sonic game I find out in the open again. So basically I was out of shape, I've always been, so I was going for a walk. I went around, exploring, saying hi to people, when I went to take a shortcut back home after my nice walk, and I found an old dumpster. It had bags of trash around it, and it smelled like something died there. I looked closer and saw something. On top of an old trash bag lay an old Sega Game Gear and a faded old game cartridge. I went to take a closer look and found out it was an old copy of Sonic Chaos next to the ancient Game Gear. It was all sun-bleached and faded, so it looked a bit yellow. It was old looking, like someone played it once and threw it away. Other than the faded look of it, it looked fine, like you could still play it, except for one thing. It had writing on it, which looked to be written in red Sharpie. The writing said "Don't play." I wondered what the text meant, so I put the game into the Game Gear. I turned the switch to on, and it didn't start. I was thinking it might not have had any batteries, so I took it home, found some new batteries, and tried to turn it on again. This time, it did turn on. I was happy that I could finally play Sonic Chaos on its original hardware and find out what that message meant. It turned on and showed the Sega logo with the same Sega jingle I remembered hearing multiple times. Then the Sonic Chaos title screen popped up on the small screen, showing Sonic and Tails giving me a thumbs up, but the background was green instead of blue for some reason. Thought it was weird, but it was just a different color. It wasn't like it was leaking my IP address. I pressed start, but I could only play as Sonic, so I chose him. I started in Turquoise Hill Act 1, running around trying to beat the level. I smashed badniks, but all that came out was green goo. When I got to the end, there was just green goo and no signpost. I moved like a snail when I stepped in the goo. At this point, I wondered what was with all the green. I didn't know how to move on, so I went back and collected rings to go to the special stage instead. I got 100 rings, and then I was teleported to the special stage. I began flying around with the cool rocket shoes, but the audio started cutting out. I reached the end, but the emerald wasn't there. Sonic just kept flying as the sky started getting darker and darker till it was pitch black, and then all of a sudden Sonic's shoes exploded with green goo. Then the game restarted and brought me back to the title screen. Sonic stood still for 20 seconds straight, with dark, empty eyes, and no Tails in sight, just a purple mess left behind, when all of a sudden green goo seeped from his black eyes and open mouth, while the Death Egg theme from Sonic 2 played in 8-bit. I felt confused and scared. I thought back and considered that maybe the writing was right. Okay, first of all, what's with the goo? Second of all, this isn't the Sonic Chaos. I remember. Then I jumped up from my seat when I heard a loud noise as the screen went black. Then I was playing as Tails. Tails was purple for some reason and was at the start of Electric Egg Zone Act 3. I still wanted to know how this weird version of the game ended, so I kept going. I hopped into the minecart, slid down the slope, and jumped, but there was no ground. I fell all the way down the pit, but I didn't die. I kept on falling, and the game started changing colors, like a hue switch being spun like crazy. I landed on a tiny platform which looked like a block of lime jelly, and white text was surrounding Tails. It said Chima T. Burguum Colistine, over and over again, while louder and scarier sounds filled the air. Then a green Sonic with goo coming out of his eyes told me something I can't even say. Then the console started heating up like crazy and exploded with green goo, burning my hands. I still didn't know what the green goo was, but I made a vow to never touch old games with weird writing on them ever again. Calm Initiative 7166.